All right, let's dive into some interesting ideas about relationships, Brazilian style.
Okay.
We're looking at a YouTube video from this channel, Cortez do Venus Official.
Right.
And it features Kleber and his partner. And they have kind of a unique approach to love and commitment.
Yeah, they don't really fit into a box, do they? There's monogâmico fluido and fechado non trancado.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's like they're saying we're monogamous, but we're open to things changing, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're willing to navigate those changes as they come up.
Like grow together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that actually work for them though?
Well, they start off by being clear that right now they're monogamous.
Okay.
But they also acknowledge that in the future they might want to explore outside the relationship.
It's interesting how the woman in the relationship is so upfront about it, right?
Yeah.
Like she's setting the stage for honesty.
Especially since it's Kleber's first relationship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's kind of like, hey, let's be real. Attraction doesn't just go away.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we're together, you know?
That's so true.
Right.
It's almost like taboo to say that, like, you know,
Exactly.
when you're in a relationship, that you're still attracted to other people.
Right, right.
But they're so open about it.
It's almost like acknowledging it is one thing, acting on it is a whole other thing.
Right.
I'm not saying to cheat,
Yeah.
but like you can be honest about your feelings, right?
Right.
And this is where this idea of acordos comes in,
Accordos.
which means agreements.
Okay.
So it's like the ground rules for the relationship.
Are those set, like, right away, or does that evolve over time?
It seems like a little bit of both.
Okay.
They have like a base understanding of what they're comfortable with,
Uh-huh.
but they're also open to like revisiting those agreements as they, you know, learn and grow together.
So it's not like a contract where it's set in stone?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
More fluid, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
adaptable.
I like that. Adapt. It's interesting how that really pushes back against those black and white views of relationships, you know? Like, either you're strictly monogamous or you're in an open relationship.
Right.
There's a whole spectrum in between.
It really challenges the idea that there's like a one-size-fits-all model
Totally, yeah.
for relationships. But that must require so much trust and security.
Absolutely. In the video, they talk about segurança a lot.
It means?
It means security.
Okay.
And they see that as like the foundation for their approach.
Okay.
Without that, you know, bedrock of trust and stability.
Yeah.
It would be so hard to navigate those conversations.
Right. But is that just like a way to sugarcoat a fear of commitment?
Ooh, good question.
Like, are they really secure or are they just avoiding like putting a label on it?
I think it's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
It seems like they're saying that security isn't about locking each other down.
Okay.
It's about creating a safe space where they can be honest with each other about their needs and desires.
So it's more about like emotional security
Yeah.
than like trying to control the relationship.
Exactly.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they're saying we trust each other enough to be honest
Right.
about our feelings, even if they're uncomfortable for some people.
And that's where things get interesting.
Okay.
They talk about how hard it is to explain this dynamic to people who haven't experienced it.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of.
Like trying to explain a color you've never seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be so frustrating when people like project their own insecurity
Oh, totally.
onto your relationship.
Yeah, their own baggage.
Yeah.
But Kleber and his partner seem to have a pretty thick skin about it.
Yeah. They seem to really prioritize their connection
Yeah.
and their understanding above like all else.
Definitely, yeah.
They even compare the relationship to rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was not expecting that.
What do they mean by that?
Yeah, what's the analogy there?
Well, they're talking about how, like, rock and roll represents this exciting, adventurous lifestyle,
Okay.
but it also has its own set of challenges
Right,
and
yeah.
sacrifices.
So it's not all like parties and
Yeah.
crazy times.
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah?
I think it's more about, like, you know, rock and roll might seem glamorous from the outside,
Right.
but it takes a lot of work
Uh-huh.
to make it work.
Yeah, and dedication.
Yeah, just like a relationship.
Totally. It's like being a rock star might seem awesome, but have you ever toured on a bus for like weeks?
Right.
There's a whole other side to it
Exactly.
that people don't always see.
Exactly, behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Kleber and his partner are emphasizing that
Yeah.
open communication
Yeah.
and understanding.
Is key.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting, though, how their views have evolved over time.
Okay.
They talk about meeting other couples
Uh-huh.
with all kinds of different relationship structures.
Oh, interesting.
Like some completely open.
Yeah. Some like prefer more privacy.
It's like they've created their own like relationship sampler platter.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying different things out.
Seeing what works for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where I think those accordos, those agreements, are so important.
Oh, absolutely.
Because as they learn and grow and encounter new perspectives, they need to be able to adapt.
Exactly.
Right? And make sure those agreements still work for them.
And it's cool how they approach it with curiosity. You know, not with fear or defensiveness, but like a willingness to learn.
It's like they're saying, we're committed to growing together.
Yeah.
Even if it means stepping outside of our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And redefining what our relationship looks like.
It's really inspiring, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
That level of like self-awareness. And willingness to adapt.
It really challenges the notion that like relationships have to fit into these neat little boxes that society defines for us.
Totally, yeah.
It's about recognizing that love and commitment can look so many different ways.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you.
And you know, at the end of the day, they make this really powerful point.
Okay.
That as long as both partners are aware and consenting, no one else's business.
Yeah, it's like a reminder to respect people's autonomy.
Yes.
And their choices.
Exactly.
Even if we don't fully understand.
Yeah, even if it's different from our own.
Right. And hearing them talk about the challenges of explaining their dynamic to others.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that we judge things.
Totally.
Based on our own limited experience.
And assumptions, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It really makes you wonder.
Yeah.
How can we be more accepting and understanding
as a society
about all the different ways that relationships can look?
That's a great question.
Maybe by sharing stories like Kleber and his partners, you know, we can break down those barriers and start a conversation.
I love that idea.
About healthy relationships.
It's all about expanding our perspectives.
Right.
Recognizing that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to love and relationship.
I think that's a perfect segue to the final part of our deep dive.
As we wrap up our deep dive on Kleber and his partner, I'm wondering, like, are they onto something bigger here?
What do you mean?
Well, they're really challenging that traditional idea of, like, what a successful relationship has to look like.
Yeah.
It's not about fitting into a box.
Yeah.
Monogamy or open relationship.
Right.
It's about what works for you.
Exactly, yeah.
What works for the two people in the relationship.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is how much they emphasize evolution.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not static. It's like a living, breathing thing that adapts as they change and grow.
It makes you wonder how many problems people have in relationships come from trying to fit into a mold that just doesn't work for them.
That's a really good point.
What if we were all a bit more open, you know?
Yeah.
To exploring those different possibilities.
Totally.
And, like, defining success on our own terms.
I love that.
I think Kleber and his partner's story really shows us the power of communication.
For sure.
And being willing to challenge those, like, norms that society puts on us.
And they're not afraid to have those tough conversations and make adjustments along the way.
You know what else is cool? It's not about avoiding conflict.
Right.
It's about facing those challenges honestly together.
Yeah. Finding solutions as a team.
Yeah, exactly.
And not getting caught up in this fantasy of, like, a conflict-free relationship.
Right, because that doesn't exist.
Exactly. No relationship is perfect. But Kleber and his partner show us that conflict can be a good thing.
Yeah.
It can help you grow and understand each other better.
If you approach it with respect.
Exactly, and empathy.
And it goes back to that segurança idea.
Oh, absolutely.
The foundation of trust.
Yeah, secure.
Allows them to be so open and honest with each other.
Creates a safe space for vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, where they can be themselves.
Yeah, without judgment.
Exactly.
I think that's so key for any relationship.
I agree.
No matter what it looks like.
Yeah, to thrive.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
What if we stopped getting hung up on labels?
Ooh, I like my
categories.
Yeah.
And focused on building relationships based on respect, open communication, and a desire to grow together.
What if we embrace the fact that love and commitment can look so many different ways?
What if we all learned from Kleber and his partner and redefined what happily ever after means for us?
It's definitely something to think about.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring and keep those conversations going.